It was raining that evening. Not the kind of gentle drizzle that makes you nostalgic, but a heavy, soul-drenching downpour that seemed to echo the weight of sorrow in her chest. Her arms clutched a trembling little boy wrapped in a fraying blue blanket, his cheeks red from the cold, and his cough, persistent, dry, worrisome, piercing the hum of the storm. They stood by the rusted bench at the edge of the station platform, soaked and shivering. Her purse was empty. Her hope, nearly gone. And when the conductor asked for a ticket, her lips quivered as she leaned in close and whispered with the quiet desperation of a mother trying to protect her pride, "I'm sorry, I can't pay." She didn't know the man sitting nearby heard her. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know that her life, and her son's, was about to change forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen angels, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Rappel of Hope. Your support brings more stories that remind the world, compassion still exists. Her name was Sara Malik. A woman of quiet strength, whose life had been a series of storms she weathered with silent endurance. At 28, she bore the weight of a past she never asked for, carrying it in the way her shoulders hunched just slightly, the way her eyes darted around to make sure her son was safe, and the way she smiled, not because she was happy, but because she refused to let the world see her broken. Just 3 years ago, she had a modest but warm home, a husband who promised forever, and a baby boy with the brightest smile. But forever turned out to be short-lived. Her husband, Amir, died suddenly in a factory accident. 1 minute, he was heading to work with a kiss on her forehead, and the next, she was identifying his body, alone, numb, clutching her baby in one arm and the death certificate in the other. With no family willing to help, her in-laws blamed her for Amir's death, and her own parents had cut ties when she eloped. Sara was left to fend for herself. She worked wherever she could. Cleaning houses, stitching clothes, selling homemade food at a roadside stall. But inflation was cruel, and Lahore's economy didn't spare the poor. Rent kept rising. Her son, Daniel, was often sick, the air pollution making his asthma worse. The medicine cost more than she earned in a week. And now, with eviction notice in her hand and her child growing weaker, she decided to leave the city. Maybe another town, maybe a village. Anywhere but here. Somewhere they could start over. She sold the little she had, 2 bangles Amir gave her on their first anniversary, to buy food, medicine, and a train ticket. But the price had gone up. The money wasn't enough. She tried to plead with the man at the counter, tried to explain. He just shook his head, told her rules were rules. So she stood at the platform, defeated, clutching Daniel and praying for a miracle. That's when he heard her. The man in the gray coat. Late 30s, sharp eyes softened by something thoughtful, and a leather satchel that looked far too expensive for a station like this. He had been watching her. Not with judgment, not with pity, but with recognition. Like he'd seen this story before. Or maybe lived a version of it himself. When she whispered to the conductor, the man didn't speak. Not yet. He just stood, walked to the vending machine, bought a bottle of water, and handed it to her wordlessly. She hesitated, but accepted it. She thanked him with her eyes. Then he disappeared for a moment. When he returned, the conductor looked at her differently. And just like that, 2 tickets were in her hand. She tried to ask who paid, but the man was already stepping onto the train. He didn't say much, just gestured toward a seat across from him. She sat. Daniel nestled into her lap. The warmth of the train heater began to work its quiet magic, and slowly, her boy fell asleep. Hours passed in a lull of raindrops tapping the windows. Sara stole glances at the man. He looked like someone important, not a politician, but someone who moved through the world differently. Confident, composed, alone. Finally, he asked her softly about her son. One question led to another, and without meaning to, Sara told him everything, the death, the jobs, the eviction, the guilt, the exhaustion. She expected him to turn away eventually, like most did. Instead, he listened. Really listened. His silence was not dismissive, it was sacred. He reached into his satchel and handed her a business card. The name read Zion Shah, Director, Dar al-Amal Foundation. She didn't know the name. But he explained, it was a private shelter and training institute for women and children, started in memory of his mother who had once been a struggling widow herself. He offered her something more than charity. A place to stay. Education for Daniel. Job training. A second chance. Sara cried. Quietly, covering her mouth. She didn't know if it was gratitude, disbelief, or just the first time someone had seen her, really seen her, in years. The train ride didn't just carry her to a new city. It carried her into a new life. At Dar al-Amal, Sara found what she never had before, stability. Her room was small but clean. The staff treated her like a human being, not a burden. She was taught computer skills, basic accounting, and even public speaking. For the first time since Amir's death, she felt she could dream again. Daniel's health improved. The fresh air, the regular meals, the access to medicine, it brought color back to his cheeks. He began to laugh again. To play. To live. Months passed. Sara grew into her new self. Confident. Capable. She began helping other women at the shelter, guiding newcomers through the same fears she once held. She became a voice of strength, the quiet kind that doesn't shout, but moves mountains. Then one day, she was called into Zayan Shah's office. He smiled in a way that felt like a sunrise. He told her the foundation had a new opening, a paid position. Community Outreach Coordinator. And he wanted her to take it. She had earned it. Tears returned to her eyes, but this time they weren't of sorrow. They were of pride. Of triumph. Of knowing she had not only survived the storm, she had grown roots in it. Zayan never spoke much about himself, but over time, Sara learned that he had once been a street child. Orphaned young. Raised by a widow who fought tooth and nail to keep him alive. He built everything he had in her honor. And when he saw Sara at the station, drenched and trembling, he saw his mother in her. By the time Daniel turned 7, he no longer wheezed in his sleep. He was top of his class. He told his mother he wanted to be a doctor, so no one ever has to be scared when they're sick. She held him tight that night and whispered, "You will. I believe in you." And as for Sara, she never forgot that rainy evening. Never forgot the whisper, the fear, or the stranger who said nothing, but gave everything. Sometimes, angels don't wear wings. They wear gray coats and carry satchels full of second chances. If this story touched your heart, please don't scroll away. Like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, and subscribe to Rappel of Hope. Your support allows us to continue bringing stories that restore faith in humanity. Special request before you go, let us know in the comments, have you ever been helped by a stranger? Or have you helped someone in need? Your story could inspire thousands. Don't be shy. Let's remind the world that kindness is still alive.